Okay. I think we're going to start. Monique said 2 minutes, and that was a minute 58 seconds ago. So 2 seconds. So welcome to this convening. I'm looking forward to the 3 days ahead. Just kidding. Huh? Everybody's exhausted. How's everybody feeling? Yeah. Wow. Whoa. That's the altitude. That's what that is. All right. I've been told I have 2 minutes to offer some quick reflections, and then I'm going to pass it over to Monique, and we'll close out the day with really your reflections. That's what this final conversation session is about. It's really about being able to reflect together on the couple of days we've shared and start to codify the takeaways for your work at home. So the couple of quick reflections that I'll offer. One is, wow, more momentum than I even thought in terms of the work. And I think it was clear about the national momentum, and we heard about the context of that and the leverage points around everything from an ad council campaign to the Opportunity Youth Network to My Brother's Keeper and the opportunity to really zero in on boys and men of color. We heard a lot about the national momentum, but the wow is really about the momentum that I heard coming from the communities that are a part of this Opportunity Youth Incentive Fund portfolio. So really compelling, really inspiring, and I thank you for that. So momentum coming from what you all are doing on the ground, and that's just awesome. One other reflection is kind of with what I kicked us off with, which is the apology, right? The unfair expectations that we have of each of you as sites. And so my reflection is, wow, we have more unfair expectations than I even realized. And the apology is expanded to include, and they're not going away. And that is to say, we really do believe that you can begin to double down on pathways that work in your community for Opportunity Youth. We really do believe that you can start to show metric change in the lives of young people over the next couple of years around a few pathways. And we really do believe that you will carry the mantle of all young people having access to opportunity in your communities. And that's an unfair expectation. And I appreciate how many of you during the last couple of days have come up to me and said, yes, I have that unfair expectation of myself. So while it's unfair, it sounds like it's allowable. And I think that's the last piece is I hear so many of you already saying, that quote from some to many to most, and how do we do that? And Blair summed it up brilliantly in terms of the moment we're in yesterday, didn't he? I mean, we can now recognize that we are part of the most important movement right now in our country. And 30 years from now, we can either say we drove a truck through that movement moment or we didn't. And I'm looking at a whole bunch of truck drivers. So thank you for that. So those are my quick reflections. The last reflection is on a little more personal, a little more slightly professional, which is to say, damn, am I lucky to work with an amazing team at the Aspen Institute. I mean, holy cow. So so I'll try not to have tears like I did last year, but Yelena and team, Melody, Emma, the conference service team that just rocked this out. Not enough food, but I'm sorry about that. Really incredible team. And then, what a leader Monique Miles is. She's just amazing. I'm going to turn it over to Monique. Thank you.
actually just want to very quickly frame this closing session because we really do have two key goals that we want to accomplish, and I just wanted to make them explicit before I turn this over to our youth leaders who are going to walk us through the closing session. So our first goal is to really share reflections from the plenaries, from the concurrent sessions. We had the networking session, we had the open space session. You guys, I've seen you in conversations informally. There was the dine around town. So really sort of from the time that you arrived here to Aspen until the time you leave, we're just curious to hear your reflections regarding the work that you were doing and what your top of mind ideas are as a result of your time here in Aspen. And then the second goal for our closing session today is to identify key action steps. So this really is also about a call to action. As a result of the conversations you all had, the discussions, the ideas you shared, what are those 1 to 2 key steps you either are personally thinking of or you are collectively thinking of that are going to be critical to implement when you get home? And we are particularly honored that in the fashion of the Opportunity Youth Incentive Fund, that we're not going to walk through this. It is our youth leaders who are not only at the center of this work, but have spent time really sort of working on those 2 key things as it relates to organizing youth leaders at the national level who are going to take us through this activity. And so I'm pleased to welcome once again Jamil to the stage and to introduce Rosalind. And thank you both for leading this session.
Thank you, big bro, Sister Mo. So long story short, the closing session, we're going to kind of keep it moving. We're pressed for time. So long story short, we're going to do some table topics in a way where we kind of share with one another. We're going to have 5 minutes. We're going to have some questions. Roz is going to go through that. And then for 10 minutes, we're going to kind of report out to the group and really kind of harness this energy back home, and we can kind of report back to each other. Make sure you do the evaluations before we move further, though. I am going to ask Sister Shanice from ATL what we created as far as our Young Leader track and our mission, please.
Our mission is, the mission of Opportunity Youth Incentive Fund Youth Leader is to utilize youth voice in order to increase access to opportunities and resources by eliminating barriers, learning from other communities, and advocating the policy systems, leaders to create consistent support systems for all youth. I challenge all youth leaders, and not only that, their site leaders too, to create a mission and share your values. Thank you.
So a little background on where these powerful words came from. We asked all 21 sites this year to think about who are the young people that are leading this work in your communities. And we had young leaders from 15 communities join us this year. And on Monday, we actually spent an entire day just focused on our youth leaders and developing our youth leaders and connecting them. Because our goal is to have all of our work centered around young people, right? No matter what happens here, no matter what policy changes, we need to remember that we're all accountable to young people. And so we spent a full day thinking about what is our mission and what is our vision and what are our goals as young leaders and how are we going to work in our communities and across the entire nation to move this work forward and to partner with all of you as adults to make sure that the work that you're doing reflects the experiences of young people. So that was our mission, and I encourage all of you to ask the young people from your sites that came, what was the vision and what was that process? A couple quick reflections about what we've been doing with the young people. The first is that today when we did our reflection with young people, a lot of them expressed that they're nervous. They're not quite sure if they're ready to go home, and they're not sure what's gonna happen once they do go home. And so I'm going to ask all of you to be very, very intentional and responsive to the young people that you brought to Aspen. We want you to connect with them on the flight home. We want you to connect with them tomorrow and next week and in a month and in a year. Last year, the youth leaders that came didn't return this year, and we want all of the youth leaders that joined us this year to return next year with a full year of experience under their belts and more ideas and more passion and more ideas. So engage these young people, talk to them about their experience. What did they learn? Who did they meet? What do they want to do when they go back to their communities? Every single one of them has a plan and action steps. The other thing is that we want more meaningful roles for young people. So young people said, yeah, we're involved in some of us in very deep ways and some of us in not so deep ways, but we need meaningful leadership roles. So not one young person, but 20 young people engaged. And not once a month, but every day, right? As policymakers, as funders, as people creating the vision, we need young people in every single piece so that as we move our Opportunity Youth work forward, we feel young people and their fingerprints and their breath and their stories and their footsteps are in every single piece of the work that we're doing. Yeah, we want young people in everything. And the other piece is that we have a plan of action. So young people are committed to continuing this work and to continuing to be in contact with each other. Young people have asked to establish an exchange program so that we can bring young people from their communities to other communities to meet other youth leaders and figure out how young people are solving these problems for themselves. So we want to challenge you all to think about how we're going to connect young people, how we're going to connect adults to young people, and how we're going to make sure that not only we're changing our communities, but that we're connecting young people nationally to learn from each other. So yeah, those are some reflections. There's a million other things, and we encourage all of you to talk to young people, not just the ones in the rooms, but all the ones in your communities at home who weren't able to join us this year. And hopefully next year, we will see youth representatives from all 21 sites. It's gonna happen.
All right, so we're going to kind of dive into our table topics, and our first question is posted as you consider the learning agenda for this convening. What has resonated with you most in light of your efforts back home? We're going to take 5 minutes to answer these questions, and then we'll report out in 10 minutes. So, thank you. The time starts now. So you stay here. I'm gonna run the mic because I know what young leaders are first. You just go to the second question.
Okay. Do you have your timer set?